luck.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me in another Star Fox interview. Today we have the voice of none other than Slippy Toad. She's also a audiobook producer. Ladies and gentlemen, and Cornerians alike, welcome Lyssa Browne. Before we get into the Star Fox questions though, can you tell us how you got into the voiceover industry?
Sure. I got a degree in theater and dance and got out of college and immediately started temping because there was no work. So I was doing theater, wasn't paying very well, just, getting as much stage work as I could. But I just couldn't pay my bills. And I finally got an agent, and they're like, well, we'll send you out on this voiceover audition. And I'm like, okay, never done that before. And I loved it. It just really fit me. I got to actually use all of the stuff that I learned in acting school, but just focused on the voice and creating characters, and I just loved it. And even just doing commercials was fun. Just loved it. So I just started pursuing that and got a demo, and now that's what I do.
As I stated in the beginning of the interview, you also produce audiobooks. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I have a company, Cedar House Audio Productions, that I co-own, and we produce audiobooks. So I do a lot of producing and directing, but I narrate as well, and that's just candy. It's so much fun to create the entire world and not just one single character. It's really like doing a one-person show, and it's just a lot of fun. So I have a younger sounding voice. So I do children's books, kids' stories, and I do a lot of young adult stuff. So the audiobooks that I've done have largely been that, or kind of romance stuff that fits my voice. I love the audiobook work. That's great fun. I mean, not that it isn't super hard work, because audiobooks it's not for everyone. So I'll hire actors to do a book, and if they're first timers, they'll be like, wait a minute, I have to read the book first, and then I have to read it all over again in the booth. Wait, I have to come up with the character voices before we get in there. So it ends up being hours and hours and hours of work. It's really a labor of love in a lot of ways.
Let me take you back in time to 1997, and can you elaborate as to how you got the role of Slippy Toad in Star Fox 64?
Well, I can try. I remember I think it was my first game audition, and it was at a super cool studio that no longer exists called Ear Force, which was kind of it used to be like a train depot, and they'd remade it into a audio studio. And so it was kind of cool looking, and I remember being like, ooh, this is a cool place, and doing the audition, and they're like, okay, so we want him to be like a little boy. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can do, a variety of little boy voices. So I ran through a couple of choices, and they're like, okay, that's great. See you later. And then later got the call to do the job, which was really intimidating. I remember that recording because, it was my first game job, and there were a lot of people. I remember there were a lot of people in the control room. It was full of like 6 guys from Nintendo, and they're all giving different direction. I'd do a line, and they'd be like, okay, no, do it this way. No, do it this way. No, do it this way. So it was a little confusing, and I didn't realize then that's just kind of how it is when you have multiple directors. But I don't remember any specific lines. I don't remember the people, I just remember they were all men. They were all young. It was cool and bizarre, and ended up with that Slippy voice.
With that being said, you stated that your voice has a range of a little boy's voice. How did you manage to find the correct range for Slippy Toad? And was there ever a point where one of the audio directors told you, stop right there, that's the voice we're looking for?
I don't know if they ever said that's exactly what we're looking for, but they did say, yeah, stop there. Let's do that one. And because I can do a little bit more of an older boy voice, but they ended up being something up higher. They wanted him to be a little squeakier, I guess. Whoever made that decision. So we got stuck with that squeaky, slippy voice.
So once you finished the last recording session for the game back in 97, did Nintendo ever get back to you as to what your voice was going to be used for, or at least the project they were working on?
Not at all. In fact, all throughout all of the different versions of Star Fox that I've done, they've been very not secretive, but just like everything's on the down low, non-disclosure. We can't talk to you about this. I often wouldn't even know the name of the game what the release name was going to be. Just basic stuff. It was always very, very on the down low.
Even for an insider such as yourself?
Yeah, even so. I mean, I didn't get a script until I walked into the studio. I couldn't, and I couldn't take a script home. It was very, keeping it secret.
Back then, there were 2 Star Fox games that were canceled and never released to the public. Do you remember working on these titles?
Yes. Let's see here. Well, again, I would record stuff. I remember recording something that I thought was going to be a demo of a game. But then, and so I wasn't surprised when I didn't hear anything more about it because I thought it was a demo. But it might have been actually a game that didn't happen or started to happen and then got canceled. But no, I don't have specific information about other ones that didn't come out that got canceled.
Earlier this year, we interviewed the voice of Fox McCloud, Mike West, and he was saying basically the same thing, that he remembers working on something he thought was a either demo of a Star Fox game or a video game that was related to in some way to Star Fox, but just never made it out to the public. And that's because he never heard anything from the public or from fans. So that is still a mystery to me as to which video game did you record for, which project never made it out to the public that you guys ended up recording for. The only one I could think about is maybe Dinosaur Planet, sometime between its development from Dinosaur Planet to Star Fox Adventures, maybe?
Yeah, maybe so.
There's a huge gap between Star Fox 64 and its remastered version, Star Fox 64 3DS, back in 2011, in which you did not voice Slippy Toad, a role that went on to other voice actors. Why is that so?
I have no idea. I really don't. And I know Mike McAuliffe, who I've worked with a lot over the years, who ended up voicing one of those versions, and I thought he did an excellent job. And I don't know the other person who did it, but no, they just never approached me. I wasn't aware they were happening when they were happening, so just wasn't. I don't know why. But I mean, Slippy is not really a super popular character. Maybe they were just trying to make him more appealing or something. I'm not sure.
Actually, he is very popular. He has like a lot of fans,
He is popular, but it's also popular for people to like, oh, Slippy, I can't stand him. He's always asking for help.
I was thinking that exactly. You read my mind. I was playing the game the other day, just in preparation for this interview, and I totally forgot how annoying he can be.
I know, he's always like messing things up, but on the other hand, he's always inventing the thing that saves the day, so you love him, you hate him.
That's true, you can't deny that.
Yay, Slippy!
And for those listening, Mike McAuliffe is actually the voice of Slippy Toad in Star Fox Assault, which came out in 2005 for the GameCube. One of my childhood favorites. Moving on to Star Fox 64 3DS, did you get to re-record your lines again, or did Nintendo just pull out old archive recordings?
Nope, we re-recorded. It was weird. It was weird they would play, because it had been so long, they would play clips for me, and I'm like, oh, there he is. I think we tried to pitch him just a little bit lower than the original, just because he was a little older. I know that doesn't really make sense,
yeah.
But I don't know that it's noticeable.
I do a voice comparison. However, the original audio files have this radio staticky filter on it. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make a accurate comparison. But here's the original audio.
Hard to tell the good guys from the bad. Here comes a big one. Here I go. Hey, he was mine. Hey, leave me alone. Hey, nice aircraft, guys. Hey, we made it! Hey, what's the big idea?
And now here's the audio in the re-release of Star Fox 64 in 2011.
There you go. Thanks, Fox. I thought they had me. Things are starting to heat up. Here comes a big one. Whoa! Can you make it? You want a piece of me? Take that. Data analysis complete.
Leaving Slippy Toad aside for a bit, there's another character that you voiced in Star Fox 64 and its re-release, Star Fox 64 3DS, and that character is Cat Monroe.
Make way for Cat.
Can you elaborate more on that character and how you got the role?
So they just said, we have another one for you. Here it is. Here are the lines. So I didn't audition for it or anything. And I just, looked at the character sketch that they gave me, and I'm like, just kind of naturally. She just has that thing about her. So that came out pretty naturally. We didn't have to mess around too much with the voice. Good old Cat.
Yeah, I was actually surprised you played that character because nothing compared to Slippy. Nothing compared.
You know what else I did, and I think that was the first time I did it, was Spyborg.
So this is the secret weapon.
Destroy. Destroy. Enemy field analyzed. I will terminate all enemies.
And I don't know that it's listed anywhere that I do that voice. The other day I was like, God, I know I did like an evil robot, but I always called it the evil robot, but I couldn't remember what it was. And the other day, because you had contacted me, I'm like, I've got to figure out the name of that character, and it was Spyborg, yeah.
I like to think Cat as the Bond girl of the Star Fox series.
Oh, yeah, she's very action-oriented.
Looks like it's time to exit, little man. Care to escort me?
And with that, I hopefully I'm making a good comparison. Or maybe Fujikomine from the Lupin the Third series, if anyone else has seen that. Just because she's a fighter, she knows how to get herself out of tight situations. Granted, sometimes she does need help from the Star Fox team, but overall, I think she could handle herself pretty well, much like Ada Wong from the Resident Evil series. It's a shame she only came out for the Star Fox 64 game.
I think it's because there was that other female character that became prominent from Dinosaur Planet.
Oh, you mean Crystal?
Yeah. Right, you!
Yay, me! But yeah, Crystal the Fox, who is voiced by Eliza Glidewell in Star Fox Assault and Elias in Dinosaur Planet and Star Fox Adventures.
They didn't need two tall-eared female characters, I guess.
Well, I'm not sure what's going to happen with either character, Crystal or Cat, because the Star Fox series has been rebooted, and those characters are up in the air right now. But I have a feeling that we're going to see Cat a lot more sooner than we are going to see Crystal. I just have a feeling. I have no evidence to support that. But yeah, I mean, did you know that the franchise has been rebooted?
No, I really don't. I didn't know.
It all happened in Star Fox Zero, hence the zero on it.
Right. I do remember doing stuff for Zero.
Which is another title we'll be talking about. For the release of Star Fox Zero, there was a Japanese animated short in which voice actress Shannon Torrance took over the role of Slippy Toad.
Having a tough time there?
Huh? Hey, what are you?
Leaving fans wondering what happened and why didn't you come back to voice Slippy?
That animated clip? Is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
the
That's
animated
just kind of a standalone?
Yes.
That, I was shown by Nintendo after the fact, and I asked them, why didn't you have the original actors voice this? And they said, well, we were on a tight schedule. We were all working in LA at the time, and we just got it done. That was what they told me. I got a polite email about it, but I don't know. I don't know.
The short animated clip aside, what else about the recording of Star Fox Zero can you tell me?
Well, I remember we recorded that at Bad Animal Studio in Seattle. Air Force had long gone by then. We did a lot of the Star Fox, all of the Star Fox recording at Bad Animals. And what else? Always a different director. Sometimes there were writers there, sometimes there weren't. It was multiple sessions. I remember going in for a couple of days for like 4-hour sessions. Even though there weren't that many lines, but there was a lot of, going back and forth and listening to old audio and then deciding how we wanted to move it forward with the new game and if we wanted to change anything. So there was it was fairly time consuming compared to the first version, or the one we had done previously.
Before I jump into this question, let me go ahead and congratulate you for being part of this game, because although it's not part of the Star Fox series in and itself, it features a cameo of all the Star Fox team, including your character, Slippy Toad, and of course, I'm talking about Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Yep.
What are your opinions on that game?
We had to voice match the animation, so I saw what was going to be there, and it was only partially animated, so some of the movement didn't have color on it, and it was a cool experience to be working against the screen, matching the movement and stuff. So that was a fun experience, but I haven't watched any of the finished.
Yeah, a lot of fans love Starlink Battle for Atlas just because it was like a modern take to the Star Fox video game series. It left a lot of fans wondering why Nintendo didn't make a video game like that in the previous years.
They've really transformed them over the years.
Were there any outtakes or bloopers that happened while recording lines for Slippy in any of the Star Fox video games?
Oh my gosh, yeah, there were a lot of bloopers, honestly.
Oh, please elaborate.
I won't be able to tell you any of them because I don't remember. I just remember that we, part of getting the characters right is goofing off a lot and keeping the energy up because the sessions are long. So goofing off and, making silly versions of the line you're working on is all part of what makes it good. And so we did a lot of that, and we would also, I remember recording for like Nintendo, I don't know if it was Nintendo executives or like just somebody who works on the game. I remember recording like their voicemail in Slippy's voice or stuff like that we would do in the studio just for fun.
In another related question, what was some of the memorable moments you had while voicing Slippy for any of the games?
Well, gosh, they were all pretty memorable because it was, I knew that once the first game was out, I didn't realize it was going to be so popular. And so my husband is a game player, and he would maybe mention to somebody years later, oh yeah, Lyssa did the voice of Slippy, and their jaw would drop. And I'm like, why would this person know Slippy? But it was a super popular game. And I even just this summer was talking to a friend's 17-year-old, and he's like, wait a minute, you're Slippy? And he's like had to take a minute. Which I think is awesome that Slippy has such a reach.
Well, how can he not? We're always saving his butt.
Yeah, he makes everybody feel good.
Yay, Slippy! He makes us feel like a hero.
Yep, Slippy, hero creator.
As someone who deals with voice actors personally and gives vocal directions, what type of advice and tips would you give to those upcoming voice actors who are listening to us right now?
Oh, gosh, I think the biggest thing for me having to do with any kind of performance is working on improv. I was in an improv group in college, and I took a lot of improv classes, and I went to a lot of improv performances, and just being able to pivot quickly and to come up with ideas quickly and to just go with the flow and always say yes. The yes and is huge. I think that helps. That helps everybody in life, in my opinion. I think everybody should take an improv class and use yes and learn how to take offerings and roll with it instead of throwing up blocks and saying no. And I think that makes better actors, it makes better people, and it helps for creating voiceover characters.
As we're recording this interview, we received 2 fan questions via email. Do you mind answering those?
If I can.
Fan question number 1, and this is, I think you already answered this, but here it goes. How were you able to find the vocal range to fit Slippy?
Well, again, I got to see a sketch of Slippy, and with the description of little boy that they gave me at the original audition, I did a couple of voices, and and Slippy just stuck.
Fan question number 2. What audiobook productions have you done?
Oh my goodness. Well, I encourage you to go to Cedar House Audio Productions and look at our production page. We primarily work with audiobook publishers all over the country, so I don't get a lot of say in what we produce. They just send me manuscripts and I cast it and produce it, or I narrate it myself. Though we do work with a lot of authors as well. Seattle's a huge writers community, so there's a lot of authors based here, and so publishers will often call me and say, hey, I've got this author who's going to narrate their own book, and I'll do it at my studio and produce. So there's a huge range, and so it's not like we specialize in something. We do children's books, we do nonfiction, we do science, we do fantasy, the whole range of audiobooks. The only thing we don't do is erotica, and that's because it's just so embarrassing. You can't see me, but I just covered my face. It's so embarrassing to listen to somebody heavy breathe in the booth while you're in the control room going, oh, this is horrible.
So no 50 Shades of Grey read by Gilbert Gottfried anytime soon?
Not right now. No, it's good stuff. Everybody enjoys it. I toast you. I just don't want to produce it.
Can you elaborate on the recording sessions for Super Smash Brothers?
I don't have specific details, but I remember being at Bad Animals recording. I remember that the Nintendo team was super pumped about what we were recording and what they were going to do with it. And being with someone else in the booth, or another actor in the booth, working side by side, and we got to work. That's unusual. We usually just one person at a time doing all of our lines separately. So I remember it being super fun. It was a fun session. But beyond that, I don't recall.
This interview is almost coming to an end, but before you go, can you provide us with the voice of the lovable Slippy Toad?
Just so you know, Falco uses a blaster and reflector that I designed, just like Fox does. But Falco will kick his reflector and send it flying around. Just showing off, if you ask me.
Thank you so much, Lyssa. That was wonderful. And unfortunately, you guys, we reached the end of the interview. Thank you so much, Lyssa Browne, for joining us today.
It's been great talking to you, Crystal.
Don't click away just yet. It's giveaway time. You have the chance to win this awesome Out of This World autographed print signed by Lyssa Browne, the voice of Slippy Toad and Cat Monroe. All you have to do is subscribe to our channel and comment your favorite Slippy Toad line. Personally, I love
Your carcass is mine.
That's pretty brutal. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. And remember to, looks like we have an incoming message from the Great Fox. Patching it through.
This is Star Fox saying so long, but hold on. Don't forget to subscribe to the Kitsune Network. Over and out. Way out.